Yes, yes. Welcome in. It's Balloon Party, 101 ESPN, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, Timothy, Michael, McKernan, Jackson, Bennett, Burkett. What a program we have here. I'm fired up for this one. I really am. It's We Went Blues Day here on 101 ESPN, the 5th anniversary of the Blues hoisting the chalice. And what a special guest we have right now out of the gate, Jackson. You wanted to break down Kristaps Porzingis' status for tonight's game, and I said, I am fired up for Game 3, and I'm pulling for Tatum and everything, but not today, Burkett. It is our pleasure to welcome to the program the hometown hero, baby, Patty Maroon. What's up, brother?
What's up, Tim? How are you?
I'm good, man. I got so many questions, so dig in. Where are you?
I'm in Green Bay, Wisconsin, watching my kid try out for the Green Bay Gamblers. He got drafted this year, so.
Holy crap!
Yeah, so I'm up here. I've been here since Saturday, watching him play. So yeah, it's been great watching him develop as a little player, and he's trying to follow Dad's footsteps, I think. So we will. Yeah, it's been fun to watch him grow as a player and just be a part of it now.
So how old is he now? I'm going to throw a bullet, Jackson, at 14.
All right.
He's 15.
15. Damn it.
15 years old, yeah. The time flies.
That same guy, famously we saw in the stands, has been drafted. Again, the guy with the tears in his eyes after your goal has now been drafted. So, my kids are younger. I know you now have a young daughter, but you have Anthony at 15. What I have found, and here you are, you're just getting done with wrapping up a season with the Bruins. What I have found, and I know a number of parents can relate to this, but, they haven't won 3 Stanley Cups most likely, is I actually enjoy watching my kids play more than I enjoy playing. Granted, I got cut from everything, but you actually got to play. So what is it like comparing and contrasting the experience of watching your son get drafted and playing in Green Bay versus what you just got done doing with the Bruins and what you've done throughout your NHL career?
Yeah, I think being a father's the most important thing first, right? So I think being a part of his life and obviously my daughter's life, but we do our job because we love it and we're passionate about it and we want to win and we succeeded at it. And when you hit a pinnacle in your career and, just making it and sustaining your time in the NHL, and then at the end goal, you want to win a Stanley Cup. And when you win one, you obviously want to win more. And I've been fortunate enough to do that, but watching my kid play and develop and, over the last 4 months here and, watching him play against 18, 19-year-olds this weekend, and he's 15, and I just really enjoy it, and I enjoy his competitiveness and his passion for the game. I just like being in the stands and just watching him. I think it makes me very happy, and obviously we don't want to be out of the playoffs right now. It sucks, but it's an opportunity for me to be with him and, watch him do what he loves, what I did when I was a young kid. So it's been great so far, Tim, and I really enjoy it. And I know he enjoys it, the time I get with him and, an opportunity to come watch him do what he does.
So he's 15 and he's out there with 18, 19-year-olds?
Yeah, so it's been fun. So he just got drafted this summer. So he's going through the process right now. So don't know where he'll land, but he's still young. It's just an opportunity for him. It's another door that's open for him for next year and the coming years. So
are there similarities in your games?
Yeah, I would say he's probably a little better player than I was when I was younger.
You weren't out there with the 18 and 19-year-olds at 15?
I was, but I think these kids now are so good and so talented, and they all work on their game and their craft and try to get better. And I would say his hockey mind is very special. He's got really good hockey sense. He sees the game so well, great hands. He's a little bit faster than I was, so that's a good sign. But his hockey mind, his hands, and he's just really intelligent player. So he's more advanced than I was at this age. But it's been fun to watch him. He wants to get better every single day. It's a job for these kids now. It's full time. It's all day, every day. It's back then we used to play multi-sports, right?
Right.
All across the board, and he did that up until it gets AAA gets a lot, and they end the season, they have tryouts, they have spring, so they're always on the move. So you don't have much time to play another sport, which kind of stinks. So I try to get him out in the golf course as much as I can to play something.
How's his golf game?
He can pound the ball.
Oh boy, sounds like a problem for our Nassau game.
Yeah, it's the problem. He was. We played the other day at Meadowbrook, and it's funny that he played bad on the front, but he had this drive on 6 where he carried the water. He drove it like 315 yards.
Oh my God! 15.
God. Yeah, so he played well. The front 9 wasn't his best, but he came back and shot a 43. So he ended up shooting a 93. So I was really impressed with him. He played well.
Oh my God, he's got the whole thing going. Well, we are thrilled to have you on the program, and thanks for joining us to talk it over on this 5th anniversary of you boys winning the Chalice. I made this statement on TMA about an hour ago, and I was thinking to myself, of all of the guys who won the Cup on that 2019 Blues team, I don't know if anybody's life changed more from January of 2019 to current day than yours. Because if we go back to that time, not only were you guys struggling as a team, but you were healthy scratch. And it looked like, and I don't know, I mean, you were living it. It's one thing when we're a healthy scratch, but if you're a healthy scratch in your hometown, that takes it, I would think, to another level. And then we fast forward to present day, and you're a 3-time Stanley Cup winner. And in addition to that, and this is something that I'm looking forward to talking it over with you about, now people know your personality. And I think if you want to do it, you could get into broadcasting in some kind of Charles Barkley /Biz hybrid role and just be like this guy for the next 25 years, if you want, who makes a few million just by screwing off on TV or some podcast. And when you're looking back on January 2019, you might have been like, holy crap, the end of my career's coming. It's going to end in St. Louis with me not getting any ice time, and we're going to finish in the bottom of the Central Division. And now look where we are in June 2024.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about it. I mean, yeah, I still remember the phone call my agent called, and he's like, listen, I think you might be going on waivers. Doug doesn't know what to do yet. And so I was obviously pretty scared. I got rid of all social media. The St. Louis Blues fans didn't really like me. They thought I was going to come in and play a little bit better. But the tide's turned. I think when Chief put me, Tyler Bozak, and Robert Thomas together, my season turned around. I only had one goal, I think, in January 19, and I finished the year strong. Ended up almost with 30 points that year, and then our team ended up making the playoffs. Doug stuck it out with us. He kept the team together. Yeah. He believed in us, and I think it went down to leadership, not getting rid of guys, not trading guys, keeping us put. And I think that's the most important thing. We believed it was just a matter of time of putting it all together, and I think we ended up finally doing that. And, my life changed, obviously, dramatically on this day, winning the Stanley Cup, being a hometown kid, scoring 2 winning goals against Dallas. Yeah, I mean, it was just, being a part of it and producing in the playoffs and, me being me and coming back to playing and getting back to life there. Like you said, though, I thought my career was probably coming to an end there, and now I'm here today, and I played 6 more years after that.
That's unreal when you think about where it was. And here's Doug talking to your agent about the possibility of putting you on waivers. You know, so many people can picture where they were the moment you guys won the Cup, and probably picture where they were when you got that goal against Ben Bishop and the Dallas Stars to send you guys to the Western Conference Finals. But you actually lived it. So when I tell you, visualize for me, if you can, 5 years and 6 weeks ago when you got that game-winning goal in the second overtime. What do you picture? What images come to mind when you think of that specific moment, which is one of the greatest moments in St. Louis Blues history?
I think it's me with my hands up skating towards center ice and everyone chasing me. And I think the moment after the game and seeing Anthony cry, and I think it was Dana O'Reilly and Molly Bozak and Francesca there, and I think that image there was just what is why I came back to St. Louis, is to be a part of my family, be with my son, share what I do every day, and get the opportunity to bring him in the locker room, get the opportunity to see what I do on a daily basis. And I think that moment right there kind of solidified it. And those are the two kind of pictures, you know, that come to mind. And then obviously me, my dad, and my mom, and Francesca and Anthony on the ice. And I think my other brother, Phil, was on there in that picture. And my dad being a season ticket holder back in the day at the old arena, season ticket holder for the Rams, and you know, his mom and dad had season tickets for the Cardinals. So I think him being a sports town, you know, he loves St. Louis sports, and having his son, you know, go through it in real lifetime, and hugging them when I first see them. I think it's, you know, those are the three that really come out to me, and that really just, you know, a dream come true as a kid when you grow up. And I think to live it with your family that's been in St. Louis your whole life, and especially your wife from St. Louis too. So it's been it was a hell of a ride. It was a roller coaster every year, but
Yeah.
At the end of the day, those are the three that kind of stuck out.
Those are perfect, man. Those are perfect, and I think anybody listening to this can relate to that, because when it gets down to it, what you're thinking about is family, and everyone can relate to that, because that moment meant so much to so many people, because they were thinking of the family members who introduced them to the game of hockey, and specifically the St. Louis Blues. Pat Maroon, our guest here, as we have the We Went Blues Day on 101 ESPN 5 years ago today. The Blues hoisted the chalice for the first time. So you finished the season with the Bruins. You've already won another 2 cups with the Lightning. What is the next step for you? Are you going to continue to play? Are you going to shut it down and become the next Charles Barkley? What do we got going here?
I don't know yet. I'd like to play. I just talked to my agent. We're gonna try to play. You know, hopefully, you know, I get offers, but we'll have to wait for the next whatever day it is today. July 1st opens up here in the next 3 weeks, I think, or 3.5 weeks. So once that time comes, I think I'll have more information the closer it gets. But I told him I wanted to play, so we will see what happens. Yeah, but obviously I would love to get in the broadcasting. I would love to, you know, be on a panel and talk shop and talk hockey. I feel like I would do a decent job at it. But that's one thing you know, talking to you, Tim, and doing our little gig there during COVID and hanging out, it's just something I fell in love with and something I had passion for. So if I can do that, I would love to do it.
Well, you're so damn likable, down to earth. People can relate to you, and nobody's necessarily going, "Oh, I need to hear Pat Maroon break down X's and O's." They want to hear you, you know, bust balls and, you know, and screw around. And fortunately now the industry is a little more personality driven than uptight. And so I just think somebody, TNT, ESPN, Spittin' Chicklets, I don't know, somebody's going to go, "Holy crap, Maroon's available. We got to bring him in." That's what I think's going to happen.
Yeah, that would be great. I would love it. I think, for sure, I think the game has changed dramatically. And I think what it all started with the Spittin' Chiclet guys, growing the game and having more personality. And I think once TNT got into the mix, that changed the game of hockey.
Yeah.
I think, having Biz and on there with the personality, and now, obviously with Liam and Anson Carter, but when you bring a guy in like Wayne Gretzky and he's talking shop and he's talking hockey and he's telling stories about, the 80s and winning cups, I think, people want to tune into that. And now you got Lundqvist on there. You get a little bit, some other guys that come in like Keith Yandel, obviously John Cooper gets on there, and ESPN's done a really good job also, with PK Subban, great personality. You got Mark Messier, just like Wayne Gretzky. And I think when you have those guys like Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky break down the game, but also tell stories of back in the day and what they went through, people are going to tune in. And with a little bit of fun involved in there, a little bit of personality, both ESPN and TNT are growing the game, and I think it's awesome to see. And we need more of it. I think hockey has changed in that way, and with Pat McAfee now growing the game with hockey is awesome. I think having guys on his show, it's only going to get more viewers, and people want to see personality now. People want to see guys, outside of the top players in the world. There's other players that play the game, and sometimes people don't get to know the bottom bottom six players, and most of them are the most important players and most personable players. So I think we're doing a better job of that, bringing that more involved in the NHL.
Couldn't agree more with you.
For years to come.
Yes, that's what I said when people ask me like what it was like to cover various teams. I go, I don't know if I ever met a guy in an NHL locker room where I'm like, oh, he's a bit of an ass. I mean, it's like Chase told me one time on the podcast. He goes, our game has a way of weeding out the a-holes at a young age. And I don't know what it is because I can't even skate, but just across the board, there's a lot of personality that comes with hockey players and down-to-earth guys. And I think that resonates with the public, even if they aren't necessarily hockey players themselves. So it opens it up to guys like yourself and Biz for people to get into the game because they become interested in the personalities they hear talking about it.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think, like Chaser said, I mean, you never want a bad apple in your locker room, right? You don't want a guy that's going to bring guys down. I feel like hockey players are the most approachable athletes in the game. I think they're willing to sit there and talk to you. They're willing to take a picture, an autograph. And I think that's what's good about our league. Everyone's very personable. They can sit there and talk to people. We're not going to deny anyone from taking a picture or sign autographs. If you're grabbing a beer at the bar, if you're having dinner, and someone comes up to you, I think we're the most approachable people just because we're so down to earth, and we care about our fans also. That's good about our league.
Final question for you. Jackson was supposed to remind me to ask this, but he completely failed. But he's over there looking at Celtics and Mavericks game tape, so that's what's going on right now. You brought up the podcast we did during COVID. We had John Hamm on. He gave us a tour of his office with his awards, his various Emmys. We had Lance Berkman on, and we had David Freese on. And then the plan was to continue to do it, and then the next thing is you go and win 2 Stanley Cups and become a national figure. So these interviews still have not been released. Is it time to finally release these interviews, Pat?
I think we have to. Yes. Or we just redo them. See what happens. Redo them since I'm better at it now.
Yeah. I just didn't know if you or Freeze said something in the moment that now, you're a 3-time Stanley Cup winner. I mean, I don't know if you're like, oh, God, yeah, maybe we should edit that out. I don't remember. It was 4 years ago, so I don't know what the hell we talked. I know I was fanboying out, but the two of you, I'm like, oh, if we air this out, this could lead to a problem. I don't think so, but I didn't want to just release it, and then you and Freeze go, oh, God, I forgot we did that interview. What are you doing releasing it? So I'm like, I got to talk it over with Pat.
Yeah, I think it's time. I don't know. I think it's time to let people hear what we talked about during, the craziest time in our lives. In the world.
Right. And then you go off and win 2 more cups after the fact. Are you going to live in St. Louis, whether you're playing or not? What your long-term plans are?
Right now we're living in Tampa. We loved it out there. So we're living in Tampa right now. Actually, my wife and daughter are back in St. Louis right now. We try to come back at least 3 times a summer, but we just love it. We're still trying to figure out things if we want to come back in the summer and live there and, keep the house in Tampa. So we're still trying to work those things out, but I think our end goal is to probably live in St. Louis during the summer and then out to Florida in the winter.
Weren't you in the neighborhood? I know he's not there anymore, but with Brady?
I was, yeah. I was. Yeah, he lived right across the street from me.
What? I mean, I don't know what. I mean, good for you. I'm not trying to get into compensation packages, but that's high dollar area there.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great area. Trust me, it's expensive, but yeah, he was my neighbor. He was great. He had a lot of security.
Yeah.
This is before I bought my house. In that area. But I was in a rental right across the street from him, and it was funny. He was walking him and his wife were walking the dogs, and I'm a huge Tom Brady fan. I think he's one of my favorite athletes, and his competitiveness. And my wife looks at me and goes, "I think that's Tom Brady and Giselle," and I'm like, "There's no way." And the closer they got, one of their dogs came up and ran up on my feet, and I started petting it, and I kind of froze. Not going to lie. I sat there and I froze. I was like, it was just right after they won the Super Bowl. He's got his arms around Giselle. She's got her arms around Tom. And I was like, "Hey, how are you guys?" They're like, "Hey." I was like, "Congratulations on another Super Bowl." And he started calling his dog over. So that was my Tom Brady moment. But I ended up getting to meet him over Halloween. Blaine Gabbert was the backup at the time. Yeah. And had the fortune to be really good friends with him and meet him, and he brought us in to meet Tom again. So what a great guy, really nice, respectful guy, and that guy can't go anywhere, that's for sure.
Yeah. There probably is no privacy there. That had to be a hell of an experience. We have a YouTube chat going throughout the course of our conversation. I don't know how many times I've seen, we need to bring the hometown hero home to finish off the career. Any thoughts on finishing things up in St. Louis?
Yeah, I would love to finish it up in St. Louis. I would love to come back home and finish my career at home. That'd be great.
How about that?
But that's not up to me.
Yeah. I understand. It takes a couple parties to get involved and have a conversation. But, that's the thing for you and for Freeze. I mean, and anybody who was on that 2019 team, but specifically 2 guys who grew up here, to do what you did, in a span of 8 years of each other, and you guys knew each other from both St. Louis and also you were in Anaheim together. I mean, I just don't know if you ever, it sounds cliche, but if you ever pay for like another meal or drink in St. Louis ever again, I mean, it's just, you're a made man.
Yeah, St. Louis has been good to me. Yeah, there's been times where I can go out and people buy me beers or they offer to buy me a beer. Sometimes I turn it down because I have one already, but but yeah, I think just being a part of that and the history behind the St. Louis Blues and whatever it was, 52 years before they won one, and 2 Stanley Cups finals without winning a game, and just to be a part of that history and be a part of St. Louis. And obviously the Cardinals are a different animal. Our fans get spoiled with the Cardinals because winning all the time and being a part of that. And it was just the St. Louis Blues just missing that championship, obviously, with the Rams in '99, the greatest game on turf. And to bring one back to St. Louis, and now every sports team has a championship, and to be a part of that is pretty special.
Yeah, and to have that moment, man, I'm telling you. Well, it puts everybody in a good place to think about June 12th, 2019, and I'm really appreciative of you spending a half hour with us here on the show to BS, man. Great talking with you. Super happy for you and the family and what Anthony is doing, and I know all of our audience is really appreciative of you taking some time as well. Thanks, brother.
All right, thanks, Tim. Hopefully your golf game's in shape.
Sounds like a challenge. I'm in. Thanks, man. See you, Pat.
See you guys.
All right, that's Pat Maroon with us here talking it over. God, I love that guy. What a great conversation. I'm super happy for him, too. Can't wait to talk it over about We Went Blues Day. I know I just blew up the clock here, but, today I wasn't going to ask him to sit on hold through a break, so I'll take the L on that one. But enjoyed the conversation. Hope you and the audience did as well. You can text in 314-399-9646. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. Welcome back. This is Balloon Party. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. It's driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett, and we were joined by Pat Maroon for the first half of today's show on our We Went Blues Day here on 101 ESPN. And that interview just put me in a good place, Jackson, because it took me back to June 12th, 2019. But really, about the first 6 months of 2019 were so incredible with that team because it was building up toward truly, and I don't know, I would imagine the vast majority of the people listening to my voice right now are Blues fans. And you know what it was like going into postseasons, whether you go back to take your pick, maybe the very, very beginning, or you're going back to the 80s, 90s, 2000s. The team went to the Western Conference Finals in 2016. And for me, anyway, I always went into it, and it was like, I hope, but, I just hope they get past the second round. The second round used to be the Waterloo. And, I mean, keep in mind, in the franchise from 86 to May of 2019, they had been to the conference finals 3 times in that entire time. The Final Four 3 times, 86 against the Flames, 2001 against the Avalanche, and 2016 against the Sharks. So that, for a team that was always in the playoffs, that was the thing. And I just remember, and this is what I'm asking the audience here, and it speaks to the Maroon interview, which if you didn't hear, I would really recommend going back and podcasting at Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's podcast. That year, I remember saying in the studios on TMA before the series with Winnipeg started, I go, this just seems different this year. Like, they really might be the best team. But that's not usually. Then they might have been the best team in 2001 when they got beat by the Avalanche, who eventually won the Cup, 2000 when they won the President's Trophy. But for whatever reason, it felt different going into it for me. And I realize you can say, well, I mean, that's easy to say now, but, I'm not, speaking out and making something out here. This is just what I felt. And then for it to actually happen, and they play 26 games for it to happen. But, so help me, take yourself back 5 years, and I'm not talking about 5 years and the night in which Binnington just holds it down like nothing I've ever seen before for the first 8 minutes of that game in Boston. And I'm not talking about the moment where the final seconds tick off or the moment when Pietrangelo hoists the Stanley Cup. I'm actually talking about this moment 5 years ago, 10:37, June 12th, 2019, the morning of the game. And I can remember doing a podcast and telling my co-host, the great Gangster Pete, I said, I am staring into an emotional abyss right now because it has taken 52 years to get to this moment. And we know how many years it's taken to get to this moment. And just in the last 2.5 months, we know how many games it's taken to get to this moment. The Stars were about 4 inches away from winning that game, and Pat Maroon being, that's the guy who played on that really good Blues team that almost beat the Stars in the second round. Much less the hand pass game, when I think plenty of people in the moment may have thought, oh, God, the Blues, this is going to be the story, the hand pass. The Blues are going to lose in the conference finals because of the hand pass. And then you saw the way Craig Berube in the room handled that. And clearly they were still confident because they were like, it's fine. We move on. And that set a tone. And then it's 3-2. And you got game 6 at home. And I think everybody and their brother thought, the Blues are going to win the Stanley Cup, and we are going to have a party like we've never seen before in downtown St. Louis this Sunday night. And they lose, and they kind of go out with a whimper in Game 6. And then there were 2 days off in between, and I'm sitting there looking into, at the time, the KFNS studio, staring at the wall going, I mean, if they lose tonight, you got to go all the way back to win all of these games, 24 games, just to get, or how many games? I guess, 15 games just to get to this point of winning the 16th. Yep. And who knows? Ask the Canucks fans about 1994 and 2011. You get to a 7th game, what can happen? And I'm thinking, there are people who I'm sure many of whom, some of you listening, relatives who have passed away, who you're thinking, if they don't do it tonight, they're never going to see it. And they have lived their entire lives for this moment. And I thought to myself, I don't know if I can handle this. Meanwhile, we kept Pat for a half hour. But I recall one of the things he told me, and I think he said this when he was with me on the podcast. He said, it's so funny. All the people in St. Louis were nervous after we lost Game 6. And we were on the plane to Boston, and we were laughing because we're like, holy crap, we know we're going to go win the Stanley Cup. Like, we know we're going to win. And the reason he said they knew they were going to win is because he knew the Bruins were about to deal with all the crap that they just dealt with in St. Louis. All the, hey, can you get me tickets? All the appearance, all the stuff that came with you're on the threshold of thinking you're about to win the Stanley Cup. And it's a distraction. And if you remember Game 6, there wasn't a whole lot there.
Yeah.
But if you remember it, the Blues had a really lackluster performance. It was a really sleepy performance considering. And so I think he said, it was me and O'Reilly, and we're just like, we know we're going to win. Yeah. We know we're going to win. It wasn't a case of, boy, we lost Game 6. Hope we can win. Whereas I think most St. Louisans were watching the final seconds tick off in Game 6. I know I was. Maybe people don't want to admit it now. It's fine. But we're thinking, this is the last time we're going to see these guys. What a shame. They could have won it on home ice, and instead now they got to go to Boston, and they got no chance. This sucks. And instead, not only do they win the game, but isolate it to that first period. And the pressure the Boston Bruins put on the Blues, and specifically Jordan Binnington, and the way he rose to the occasion. And you get past those first 8 minutes. And then you get to the intermission, and if it would have been 0-0, Blues fans would have felt like a win. Instead, it's 2-0 Blues, and the second goal was on a Marchand botched line change,
right at the end of the period.
Self-inflicted wound. And I would imagine that 2-0 loss deficit felt to the Bruins like a 10-0 deficit. And for the Blues, they had to be riding high in a stratosphere they could have never imagined. That first period will live forever, not because it was a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final, because of what they withstood in the first 10 minutes and how they then countered in the second 10 minutes. And the Stanley Cup was won in that first period. It was a pure strangulation for the remaining 40 minutes, and it was never in doubt. So to their credit, not only did they go from worst to first, they went from losing Game 6 at home. You don't see a lot of that. Losing Game 6 at home and then going on the road and winning Game 7 when a championship is on the line. And then not just winning it, but dealing with the attack that they were able to face for the first 8 to 10 minutes and then leaving that period up 2-0. These guys who played on that team, who are part of the organization in 2019, will live forever in St. Louis sports because of what they did in 2019. Your thoughts are welcome. 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line. And also, you can participate in the YouTube chat. Jackson, are we giving away Journey and Def Leppard tickets? And do you have trivia that is...
I do.
That is geopolitical?
It is. As a matter of fact, it's very geopolitical.
Nice.
I do. Should we do that right now? Or should we do it? So let's do it right now.
Why not?
I say so. So first person to text this answer in will win the ticket. So purely objective here. All right. Longtime Blue and Stanley Cup champion Vladimir Tarasenko hails from Russia, a country that features a jaw-dropping 11 time zones. 11 time zones in
right?
Russia. 11
That's a
time
fun
zones.
fact.
It is. This is an even more fun one. Was the only country, including all of its territories, to have more time zones than Russia.
Wow. Boy, you really bring it on these.
Yeah, I'm not playing around. So first person to text in on the Air Comfort Service text line wins the ducats. And I'll be really impressed if we get this answer quickly. Like, we might have to break because I think people...
So you think the audience is made up of dumb people is what you just said?
It's a tough question. I'm going to ask the second part again. So Russia has 11 time zones. Was the only country, including all of its territories, to have more time zones than Russia.
Wow. All right. Do we have a correct answer yet?
Nope. We are still without a correct answer.
Really?
Some of these are bad answers.
Oh, now Jackson's scolding the audience.
Nope. Couple.
The United States has been submitted.
As I guess I'll give that is not the answer.
Oh, wow.
The United States is not the answer. The correct answer has arrived.
And what is the correct answer?
Right, you say the answer, Tim, is France.
Parlez-vous français?
With all of its territories, it covers 12 time zones. So anything that mainland France only has one. Central
I was
Europe.
about to say.
Mainland France only has one time zone, but all of its territories, which I include in the question, 12 time zones.
And what territories are we talking about?
We're talking French Polynesia.
Of course.
I believe Papua New Guinea is a French territory. So that alone spans pretty much the entire globe. So,
yeah, we've got some Frances in there.
France is the correct answer.
How about that?
So the person who texted that in first, you're being contacted at this
Right now
moment.
by the great Mike Ryder. Boy, Jackson's geopolitical.
John is our winner with the answer of France, which of course will host the Olympics in Paris.
There it is, Jackson's geopolitical questions. All right, a final segment. We've talked all Blues here for the first 45 minutes. I want to talk about last night at Busch Stadium. We will discuss that on the other side of the break. That's next here on Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota, 101 ESPN, and the 101 ESPN YouTube channel. Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota, the place I go to get my cars for our family, and the place I'm going to get our hail damage repaired as well. Online at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com. It's Munganess. I've gotten to know the people at Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota, and I just think the absolute world of them, and I love referring our audiences to them because I know you're going to be in great hands, and there's a good chance you're going to go, why did I ever go anywhere else? And I will never go anywhere else now that I've gotten to know Jamie Burkhardt and Peter Munganess, just first-class people. They have a deal for our TMA audience that we bring over here to Balloon Party, and it is the following. No money down, $589 a month for a brand new 2024 Acura MDX Premium, 48-month lease. Sweet mother of mercy, no money down, $589 a month for a new Acura MDX, and you tell them it's the TMA listener, Balloon Party listener special? You better believe it, brother. It's at Munganess, St. Louis Acura and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. Online at stlouisacura.com and at altontoyota.com.
This is Action Jackson with a SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Last night, the Cardinals lose to the Pirates. Final score of 2-1. They take on the Pirates again tonight. 6:45 is your first pitch. And tonight on 101 ESPN, we're going to replay that Bruins Blues Game 7 on the We Win Blues Day here. 101 ESPN coverage starts at 6 p.m. Following that, Mavs Celtics Game 3 in Dallas, tip-off at 7:30. You can hear both of those right here on 101 ESPN. And finally, Basketball Hall of Famer, a legend, Jerry West, has just died at the age of 86. R.I.P. to the logo, Jerry West. That was another SportsCenter update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back, Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you. First half of the program was a conversation with Pat Maroon here on our We Went Blues Day on 101 ESPN, celebrating the 5th anniversary of the Blues winning the Stanley Cup in 2019. Miss anything? Go back and podcast. Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's podcast. I think you'll enjoy the conversation if you missed it. So the first 45 minutes of the show, Jackson, spent on the Blues and the We Went Blues Day. But I want to talk about last night at Busch Stadium. It's a hell of a baseball game, and that's my kind of baseball game. I love that. A low-scoring game, and I realize it's probably not for the masses, but that's my style of game. Great pitchers duel. Miles Michaelis, Paul Skenes, and it's a scoreless game when both starters exited. Scoreless into the 9th. Pirates get 2. Cardinals get 1 on a Gorman home run, but it's not enough, and the Cardinals lose to the Pirates. But what I think has gotten the most attention is the standing ovation that Paul Skenes got as he exited the mound last night from the Busch Stadium crowd. Jackson, take a listen. Do you have the audio? You happen to have the audio?
I sure do.
Okay,
Tim.
let's take a listen.
We'll hand over the baseball. 103 pitches. He'll leave with a runner at second, 1 out.
Look at this, Greg.
Yeah,
We got
Cardinal fans giving him a standing ovation.
Incredible.
So that was something that I think caught the broadcast team off guard. That's the Pittsburgh team, I gather?
Yeah, Sportsnet in Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. And that was Barry Bonds and Spanky LaValliere.
Yep, and Darnell was on the field.
Oh, Darnell Coles?
Yeah.
Silence. Yeah. Here is Paul Skenes' reaction to the standing ovation.
Paul, what was it like to get a standing ovation from an away crowd today after you finished your outing?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't really notice it in the moment. I was kind of just pissed that I gave up a hit, to be honest, but I got a text about it, and like looking back, I realized what happened, so it was cool. They're cool fans.
There you go. It's Paul Skenes on the standing ovation he received from the Cardinal crowd. Jackson, I'm going to give you a master's thesis.
I'd love a master's
I hate
thesis.
to do it at 10:54.
That's when I prefer my thesis.
Oh, is that right? Theses.
Theses. Thesi.
Somebody will check on that. If you were at the game and if you organically were moved to give Paul Skenes a standing ovation, not only do I say God bless you, I say God bless America. And I give a gentle thumbs up like Phil Mickelson exiting a tee box. But what I think has happened, you have to go back approximately a quarter century and change. And I think it starts with Mark McGwire in 1997 when he was going to be a free agent and he chose to stay in St. Louis, even though he was a California guy and spent all of his career before that in Northern California. And then Jim Edmonds getting traded here, California guy, choosing to sign an extension with the Cardinals. Scott Rowland, Midwest guy, comes to St. Louis, didn't really enjoy his time in Philadelphia, signs in St. Louis. And I might be leaving out a few other examples. You had that running parallel to the Cardinal ownership and brass pushing for a new ballpark. That started up in 2000. Now, it didn't open until 2006, but the wheels were in motion right around the turn of the century. And so at that time, someone began the marketing of best fans in baseball, Joe Strauss, #BFib, and baseball heaven. And so my master's thesis is, over the last decade and change, a number of these standing ovations are really not for the players they are supposedly cheering, but rather, hey, look at us. How great are we? And that goes under the umbrella of crap that I don't like.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
Now, does it have any negative impact on my life? None at all. I couldn't care less, but I happen to host a show, a number of them, and I see that and I go, yeah, I mean, nice outing, incredible young pitcher.
Yeah.
However, the Cardinals are not necessarily having a wonderful year. It's a scoreless ball game. Ball club needs to win. Cardinals got a hell of an effort from Miles Michaelis. And I'm sure there were some people who were like, man, that was awesome. This guy's going to be sick. It was his first time we ever saw him pitching in St. Louis.
Division
Maybe a Livy
guy.
Dunn fan.
Yeah.
And just go, that was outstanding. But then you have the, yes, look how classy we are thing.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, doesn't do it for me. Does it affect me? No. Opinion, that's my master's thesis. Jackson, what are your thoughts?
Here's my thoughts, Tim.
And by the way, I am not running for office, so I don't care what you think.
Not in
Thank you.
24.
But in 2028.
Well, yeah, just get ready for that. What I would say is, being someone born in the late 90s as a Cardinal fan, I understand why it was going on. First appearance, division opponent, clearly a guy who's outstanding at what he does. I personally would not have stood up and clapped. We're in the 0-0 game. You're playing a division rival who you're right there with in the standings. 0-0, I would have said, let's keep our eye on the ball. No pun intended. However, saying that, I will also say that Paul Skenes is like absolutely my type of pitcher. And I know that's obvious to say because he's outstanding, but like pounds the zone, incredible tunneling with his pitches. That splinker is filthy. That splitter sinker combo thing he has, nasty, unbelievable control. Like he is going to be outstanding. Having said that, I would not have stood up and clapped for him in a 0-0 game when you're kind of fighting for standings.
All right, there's Jackson's opinion. Yeah, it's just. I think it's become more of a, hey, look at us. We're so classy.
Yeah.
And to me, that is actually the antithesis of said adjective. You can hate mail me, T. McKernan at InsideSTL.com, TMCKERNAN at InsideSTL.com. Probably be more of a direct message if you use Hotmail, T. McKernan at Hotmail.com. And then I'm on social media, not really active, more of a gift depot on Twitter.
Right. That's right.
And then Instagram, Timothy Michael McKernan. I guess you could DM me on Facebook, although I think I have those turned off because usually people hit me up for tickets.
Yeah, I stopped looking at those weeks ago.
Right.
LinkedIn, of course.
Very active on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So that's where you can send it because I would love to interact.
Sure.
I like to interact with the people. I'm a man of the people, meat and potatoes guy.
Always have been, always
But
will
if
be.
it's a ball, it's a ball. If it's a strike, it's a strike. And I'm not here to use my hand on you,
Yeah,
Jackson.
you're not C.B. Buckner.
Just not.
Yeah.
That's not who I am. All right, time for us to shut it down. BK and Ferrario are up next. For Jackson Bennett, Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party on 101 ESPN.